Alpha Brown here, and we're just going to talk a little bit today about the behind the scenes of the song Third Place, how me and Sipho collaborated, the concept of it, and some of the lyrics that we enjoyed. Sipho, just want to introduce yourself as well.
100%. Yes, I am Sipho Eric Ndlovu, based in the West Midlands. I am a performance artist and a writer and a workshop facilitator. And yeah, I was very happy to have been featured on the track.
Cool. So we're just going to talk a little bit how we collaborated, because it was the early stages of the first lockdown, if I remember, kind of like April time. Well, I had the beat ready, the instrumental beat. I had kind of the concept because I was doing a bit of research on, because of the closure of social spaces, and I was reading some articles, and I came across this book from Oldenburg, 1989. It's called The Great Good Place, and I had this idea in mind that I wanted to create something around that. So I actually bought Sipho the book. I wanted to work with Sipho for a while. I actually saw him at a poetry jam a few months before that, and I just needed the right track. So yeah, I bought you the book, and kind of how did it go from there for you? What was your initial how did you feel initially about the concept? And
yeah, it was a fun time. I guess embarking on some research about concepts of first, second, and third places from a sociological standpoint. So I enjoyed that. That's the kind of thing I would do anyway, just reading, but actually using it as resources to create art is always a really incredible way to actually begin understanding a subject matter, then also sharing the concept as well with other people, whether they're listening to the track or you're just having other conversations. I remember when I first got the book, and I was looking around as well online about Ray Oldenburg and his sociological concepts. It was just really interesting, looking at his perception of how people engage and the different dynamics, and how you can actually measure that as well. And I know for me, it was applying it to these times now. In that, how would he comment on social spaces now? And I guess it also what we're living in now is like a broader question of what is a social space, when we are also able to have this call like this now on Zoom. And in the same way of meeting up in a coffee shop as well. So yeah, it was a really good stimulus right at the start, actually.
Yeah, because he speaks about first places being your home, second spaces being like your places of work, and then the third spaces was kind of, well, as your lyrics said, it's like social spaces where we emerge, and it's like, it could be coffee shops, could be museums, theatres, bars, like restaurants, anywhere where communities come together, and I think we missed that quite a lot. And so it was really an interesting time to write something like that, because we were really immersed in it, both of us.
Yes.
I think it was not easy to write about, but we had a lot of material, we had a lot of feelings about it at the time.
Exactly, yeah.
And a bit about the process of how we kind of wrote our verses. I remember saying to you, we can go off and write our own verses, but I wanted the one line. It was like, third place is the heart of the community. I wanted us to both put that in there somewhere, because I feel like that's what it really is. Those social spaces it's like the hub of our community, isn't it? Whether that's in Birmingham, maybe in Digbeth, it's like the cultural hub, and where everyone meets and gathers. A little bit about the writing and your process of writing. How did you find that?
In terms of the writing, and just to say as well, I probably should have mentioned this at the start, but I have a stammer, so yeah, that might come up as well. But yeah, just saying that. But yeah, talking on the writing, I really enjoy the writing. It's like the instrumental was so well done, and it's sort of like it speaks to you, the instrumental itself, and you're sort of just responding actually, and so you've got to come informed. So that's where the book comes in handy, and you and that line. Or that hook, and that you had sort of like had wanted us to make sure that we included. It was all sort of just very useful structures of which we could then create within, but then also find other ways to sort of flow around. So I know when I was writing, I'd recently moved house, and where I was living, that there was like lots of green spaces, and obviously we were in the peak of lockdown. So it was interesting finding myself in spaces of solitude, and actually not being able to go to third places. Coffee shops and things like that were locked down, like you weren't allowed. So I was writing from places of solitude, and like just sat on a bench by some water, like a small lake, and lots of trees and greenery around, thinking about busy spaces. So it was a really enjoyable process for myself, just because of the spaces I sort of found myself within, and then because of the book itself is from like 1989. Just when I was researching and I was thinking about references that could be made, so things that mattered to me, like 90s hip hop, for example. I was like, yeah, this is really cool. Like, let's get this in there, like within the writing. So yeah, it was just all exciting from the places I was writing from. And also like the references that I sort of wanted to tie in. One from the author, Ray Oldenburg's, sort of like some of his references, but then also referencing things that mean a lot to myself.
Yeah. I know you reference Nas and Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah, yeah,
man. So how do you feel like the 17th of May, obviously, indoor spaces are going to be back open again. A lot of people are excited for that. How do you feel like we're gonna like reconnect again as a community? Because that's a good point you make, that especially last year, a lot of those third spaces were actually outside, maybe your local park or things like that, and now we're coming back into the normal. Do you think we'll reconnect straight away, or how do you feel? We'll like re-establish that.
Yeah. Like you can't stop a connection.
No.
It's just impossible. And look at the lengths we go to whenever like our Wi-Fi sort of drops. Like we get like a hotspot, or we ask someone else for a hotspot. So in terms of like physical connection, people have already been connecting, even like before shops have opened. But I think there's different levels to it. People are really excited for it. People are still a bit dubious because they don't want things to shut down again. But yeah, I think people will be out here really, just doing their thing and doing bits about. Are you looking forward to it? How are you feeling about things opening up again?
No, I'm really happy. Like I think I get a lot of inspiration from just going out into spaces, into like coffee shops, or into a museum, or even into town where there's a lot of people, or just it's information, isn't it? And it, like, for creatives and artists, you need that kind of, it's food for us. It's taking a lot of inspiration from that. So definitely be looking forward to getting back to that, and immersing myself back into that, and then hopefully get some more a lot of creativity may come from this. You don't know. hopefully it does.
Yeah, no, and I think on the creativity part, I think what was really cool was actually like working on this during a lockdown. Um, you know, like obviously with so many things being sort of shut, like you have to be creative about how are you still going to, if not perform, still come up with content to perform. And this was a really interesting way to actually go about it, in terms of like you sending me the instrumental. I know people have done it for a long time, but I guess it's not like the traditional way for a lot of people. Like you might meet in a coffee shop and sort of work on and exchange ideas, but it was actually a really cool thing to just stay engaged in the creative process, and see like a creative output, and not be stopped by the fact that you can't meet up in person.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't meet for the whole of the writing process really in person, so it came with its own challenges, definitely. Because we, you know, as you said, we like to just get in the studio, both of us, and you know, get that energy and feel that energy and that connection, and we can discuss things, the lyrics, and we can discuss the concept a little bit more. But we had to kind of do what we had to do in that situation. You know, evolve, I think. So I think we did pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Any final thoughts or questions or anything, or you thinking?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think like if I was to ask sort of like a final question, and also as like just a final thought, it's just about the like the importance of reading. I think like in order like to inform yourself and your art. And I guess that my question to you was going to be about how often you sort of take that approach. Like how often do you go from a book or an article and then you create something? Because yeah, for me, like it was a really good way, as I said, like to consolidate the information which I sort of received from the book, but and would definitely encourage it for other people as well. Whether you have an immediate idea to go ahead and record it or share it, but find a creative way just to come to terms with the content that you're engaging with. But for you, yeah, like how often do you sort of go through that process that we sort of had to go through for the song?
Yeah, I mean, quite often I do take a lot of inspiration from like books and movies and that. But what I'll probably end up doing is like I'll read 2 or 3 pages and then I'll have my own idea about something, and then an hour later I'm still writing about my own idea and I forget. But yeah, no, that's what other people's work is supposed to do, like spark an idea in your own head, and you think, oh, they presented that from a different viewpoint or a different perspective.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Or like if you're watching a movie and the camera is focused on a certain point, or they have a, you know, an interesting dialogue, you think that's an interesting thing, I could use that for my own. So always on the ball like that. And yeah, people, you know, you want to soak up as much information as you can, that's related to kind of what you're trying to express yourself, what you're trying to write about. Yeah, 100%.
Cool, man. Good to know. Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Thanks everyone for listening. You can check out Third Place with me and Sipho on wherever you listen to music, streaming platforms. And I'll catch you on the next one. All right, cool.
Peace.
Sweet, man.